How do you take a simple chord progression like this and turn it into this? Hey everybody, my name is John Proulx and I'm so excited to show you 10 ways to spice up a simple chord progression. I'm going to show you how to add some harmonic variation, some rhythmic variation, and some stylistic variation, including gospel style and even some jazz reharmonization. I'm excited to get started, so let's do it. Okay, great. So we're going to take this very basic progression. We're going to start on the 1 chord. We're in the key of F major, which is 1 flat. We have the 1 chord, we have the 3, minor 3, we have the major 4, and then we have the major 5. And then that repeats. 1, minor 3, 4, and 5. And this is a progression that's very common among many pop songs, R&B tunes. So we're going to go on now and talk about how to add some 7th chords and suspensions. So we're going to start with the 1 chord. We're going to leave that one alone. But when we get to the 3 chord, rather than just doing a regular minor, we're going to add the 7th, which is the G. So we're adding the minor 7th. Then we get to the 4 chord. We're going to leave that alone. But when we get to the 5 chord, instead of doing a C major, we're going to add the sus, and the suspended note is the F. It means you don't play the 3rd, you play the 4th. Here's the 7th, and then we actually have the 9th on top as well. But if you look at that, it has a slash chord. It has a B flat over C. So that's kind of a pop way of writing a C9 sus, but this is a 5 sus chord. So again, we have 1, minor 3 with a minor 7, the 4 chord, and then a 5 sus. Let's try that together. We have 1, minor 3, 4, 5 sus. Really a cool sound. We're going to move on now and talk about how to add some inversions and chord extensions to these chords. So rather than just having a regular F, a very common thing to do, especially in pop music, is to add what's called an add 2. So if I'm playing an F major chord, the add 2 would be the 2nd note. So that would be an add 2 in root position. But what we're doing here, we're spreading out the voicing. In the left hand we have the root and 5th. In the right hand we have the add 2, the 3rd, and the root. So this is the voicing, really beautiful voicing, very commonly used. Now for the 3 chord, the minor 3, where we did this before, the minor 7, we're adding one more note in here, as you can see in the left hand. It's an F, which adds a nice color, isn't it? Instead of just being a 3, by adding the F, now what we've done is we've created a 1 over 3, but with a major 7 on top, and the 9th down here. So it's an inversion of F major 9. Really a cool sound. Again, so we have F add 2, then we have F major 9 over A, so that's an inversion, a first inversion F major 9 chord. Now we go to the 4 chord, and again, instead of just doing a regular 4 chord like this, we're going to do like we did with the F chord. We're going to add the add 2. So if it was a B flat add 2, here's the 2nd, 3, 5. So that would be a root position add 2 chord, but we're spreading it out between the hands. So left hand plays root and 5, right hand plays the add 2 and the 3rd. Really beautiful sound. And then we get to the 5 chord and we have the sus chord again, but notice how it's spread out now. Instead of going like here in the first example, we're putting in an inversion here, but it's still a C9 sus. We could also think of it as a B flat triad over C. So again, here's from the beginning, we have F add 2, F major 9 over A, B flat add 2, and C9 sus. Really beautiful sound, and it really adds a lot of color to those voicings. All right, we're going to continue now and talk about how do we embellish the chord by adding some different rhythms. And a very typical way of doing that is to take, for example, an F major chord, and in the right hand, break up the top 2 notes with the bottom note and alternate back and forth with this rocking 8th note pattern. And so for F major, we have like that. And then we get to the A minor 7. Again, A minor 7 looks like this. That's from the very beginning example. But now again, we take the top 2 notes and we rock back and forth between the bottom note in 8th notes. Then we get to the 4 chord, same thing. Here's here's the blocked chord. Right hand's playing the top two notes and then the bottom, and back and forth. And then we stay there for the 5 chord because it's a sus chord. So we have this. We have F, then we have A minor, then B flat, then B flat over C, and again. Then A minor, B flat over C. Great, so another way that we can add some different rhythmic variety to this chord progression is having the right hand play broken eighth notes. So it's still this F add 2 chord if I were to play it as a blocked chord, but all we're doing here is starting at the top, going down to the bottom note, and then playing the rest of the voicing. So it's 1 and 2 and really pretty sound. And then we get to the A minor 7, and again, this was what it would look like in a blocked chord, but we take the top note, bottom note, and then we're adding in the root here, and then to the third. Do the same thing on the 4 chord. Here's the B flat add 2. Start with the top note, go to the bottom note, middle note there, and then again on the B flat over C or the C9 sus, we go to the top note, bottom note, middle, top. So again, it would sound like this. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and really pretty sound. You hear this a lot in pop music especially. So it really flows nicely. It's got a nice sound to it. And so we can take this a step further and say, okay, if we're doing eighth notes, what would happen if we did 16th notes and do these broken 16th notes? So we're doing the same exact pattern as we did in the previous example, but now we're going to repeat it twice because we're doing it twice as fast. We're doing 16th notes, which is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So we have 1E and a 2E and a, and then we get to the A minor, same exact voicing as before, but now we're doing it twice. 3E and a 4E and a. Get to the 4 chord, here's our add 2, same voicing. 1E and a 2E and then we get to the B flat over C, and we have a 3E and a 4. Now here, I added a little bit different pattern there because I wanted to go back, since it repeats back to the F, I wanted some kind of line that would lead into that. So this last chord here, we have 1, 3E and a 4E and a 1, which leads back to the F. So let's, I'll play that for you so you can hear how this goes all together. So we'll take it a little slower since these are 16th notes. So it'd be like 1E and a 2E and a. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1 and 2E. Really pretty, and you can do that faster if you like, but it's nice to start slow because there are more notes in the right hand. So we've kind of been doing a lot of hands separately kind of patterns right now, but now we're going to move into how do we make it so we can have the hands working together and spreading out the pattern between the hands. And that's what we're doing here in this spreading out the chord example. We have the 16th note pattern, but now instead of going the right hand doing the, we're spreading it out. So the left hand's playing the first 2 notes of the 16th. So we have 1 E, and then the right hand's going and So we have 1 E and And then the third beat, again, we have the F add 2 over A. Left hand starts 3 E and 4. And then the left hand starts again with the B flat add 2, 1 E and 2. And then left hand again starts 3 E and 4. So there's some space in there, as you can see too. It starts with these kind of fast rhythms, but then there's a pause on beat 2 and beat 4. So it sounds like this. 1 E and 2, 3 E and 4, 1 E and 2, 3 E and 4, 1 E and 2, 3 E and 4, 1 E and 2, 3 E and 4. It's nice, right? There's a little bit of a pause, but it's still using those 16th note rhythms. So one thing you hear a lot, especially in pop music, is a melodic hook that you hear over a repeated chord progression. And I wrote out a little repetitive pattern here, and I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll dissect it. It goes like this. Here comes the sun. But it's got this pattern, as you can hear, and then this little which just kind of ends the pattern. It's a little different, that kind of wraps up the pattern. And again, this is 16th notes, so before we practice both hands, it's always good to just kind of break it down. So the right hand we go 1 E, 1 E, and so there's a lot going on rhythmically, so it's good to always practice hands separately. The left hand is doing similar to the earlier progression, where we're going 1 and 2, a 3 E, and a 1 E, and a 3, and that's on 3. Back to 1, a 3, 1, 2, 3, and together again it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oftentimes you'll hear that kind of thing at the beginning of a pop song. You know, there'll be some kind of, it could be any kind of a song, but you hear this, and sometimes it's even done an octave higher. You kind of hear. That just kind of has a different kind of feel, so you can even move it up if you'd like. So another typical kind of thing to do is to have the right hand play the time or the quarter notes, and have the left hand play a little chromatic bass movement. So up until this point, it's been pretty basic in terms of the left hand, but here we're adding some 16th note pickups going to the next chord. So it goes like this. It would sound like this. Notice the right hand's playing the rhythm, and the left hand's emulating what a bass might do, like an electric bass player. You could really hear that bass line. So the right hand again is just playing the chords F, F, A minor, 7, B flat, add 2, and then it looks like a B flat major triad in the right hand, but it's over C, right? And then the left hand is playing 1, 2 E and a 3, 4, and 1, 2 E and a 3, 4, and 1, 2 E and a 3, 4, and 1, 2 E and a 3, 4. Together, 1, 2 and a 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice articulation-wise too, I'm kind of accenting the fourth beat a little bit more, because it feels like there's a backbeat, or like in pop music, oftentimes it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm kind of accenting the 2 and 4. So that's a really fun groove. And then next up, we're talking about broken chords with a chromatic bass. So the bass is going to be the same as you just played, but now on the right hand, instead of going blocked chords, we're going to break them up, similar to what we did earlier, with this rocking 8th note pattern. So it would sound like this together. And again, you can just practice hands separately first. Your right hand can play the pattern 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then left hand can play 2 and a 3, 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3, 4 and 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. Again, we're kind of playing two instruments in a way. We're playing the left hand bass like an electric bass player, and the right hand's kind of emulating either a guitar or a piano. So we're really kind of adding the full orchestration here. And then lastly, another way to kind of make it even more rhythmic is to add a kind of a gospel feel. It's kind of leading in that direction. You can kind of hear it already kind of wanting to go there. And in this example, play it for you first, and then we'll kind of break it down. It goes like this. A fun kind of groove, and what we have is the right hand's playing these quarter notes, but then look at beat 3 and 4, we have kind of a little melody, da 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 da, and it's also anticipating the next measure, going in the and of 4, as you can see, rather than being on the downbeat of the next measure. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and then this thing here at the end, you'll see those little grace notes there, the F to that G minor chord. So here's a regular G minor chord in inversion, right? But you see that little F before it's called a grace note, and you have this little bum. So it's bum, bum. That's an F over C. And then again, here's a little a grace note here. Which is a it's D flat going there. So we have, and then we can kind of tie that last eighth because it's going to go back into the beginning part of that groove. And then the left hand is playing the same bass line as the previous examples, except instead of doing an and a 4, this one just goes 1, 3, 4. So again, left hand goes 1, 2 E and a 3, 4, and 1, 2 E and a 3, 4, 1, 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. So again, if you look at the left hand and right hand here, you see how they both anticipate at the same time there? But then here, then the left hand goes there. So the right hand arrives on the F before the left hand does. So again, let's just do it a couple more times. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Really a fun groove. You just want to keep playing that one. It just really wants to keep going. And the last thing I want to talk about is something that you can do that's taking it way far away from the original chord progression and adding some jazz harmony. And this is something that I love to do, being a jazz player myself, is to find a chord progression like this and see, is there a way that I can add some other chords or some chord substitutions, some chords in between the chords to kind of give it some jazz flavor, and also add some different chord extensions like the 9, the 11th, the 13th. So for this first example, I'm going to play for you. It goes like this. So if we're looking at this numerically, we have a 1 chord, we have a dominant 4 chord, we have a 3 chord, we have a dominant 6 chord, we have a 2 chord, we have this chord, which is a tritone away from the G minor. They call that a tritone substitution. And then we have the 5 chord, but instead of just going right to the C major or the C7, we have this sus. Again, that's the suspended note is the 4th. And we have the 13th on top, so it's called a C13 sus. And then when it resolves to the 3rd, notice that the 9th goes to the flat 9, so we have a C7 flat 9. So there's a lot in there, but it's a very typical thing that we do in jazz, this chord progression that we often talk about, which is 2-5-1. So this last part here, we're going G minor to C7, that's a 2-5 in the key of F, 2-5-1. So we're just adding in a little chromatic chord here, this tritone sub, 5, 1. And then leading up to this, we have 1, 4, 3, 6, which leads then to the 2 chord. And that's a very typical progression. You hear 1, 4, 3, 6 in a lot of songs. I took a trip on a train and I thought about you. A lot of songs use that. But anyway, this is a great example of how you can take the very basic chord progression like that, add some different colors by making them, for example, instead of just a major chord, this is a dominant with a 13th. The 4 chord is dominant as well. Then instead of just a regular minor chord for this one, I added in this beautiful 9 here. This is called an A minor 9. Da. And then on the D7, instead of just doing a regular D7 chord, I'm adding in the flat 13 and the sharp 9, which again is beautiful color. On the 2 chord, instead of just doing a regular G minor 7, I'm adding in the 9th as well. So we have root 7, 9, 3, 5. And then we talked about this chord already, this D flat 13 sus. We have the root, sus, 7, 9, 13. And then that parallels down to a C13 sus. And then we finally resolve to a C7 with a flat 9. So again, it's this. One more time for good luck. Thanks everybody, that was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it too. See you soon.
Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the lesson, be sure to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have over 1,000 step-by-step lessons for all playing levels, where you'll learn your favorite songs, styles, and how to improvise at the piano. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.